Thanks for dropping in. My name is Robert Zimmerman, and welcome to the Contact Exec. The construction world is rapidly evolving with new technology, and we are here to examine and discuss the many ways that these changes are affecting the industry. From the teams in the field to the leaders in the office, technology is reimagining the way that we build. So today, we're going to talk about old workflows and paper processes and the new challenges that are currently or soon will replace these methods. So let's just jump right in. So we're going to talk about job sites, right? Large and small. Each one has their challenges. And if you've ever been on a job site or near one, the sights and sounds alone can be chaotic and stressful. So now imagine being a part of that daily circus. Now coordinating the daily activities and the activities of laborers, carpenters, equipment operators, electricians, pipe fitters, welders, plumbers. It's just the start of the day, right? Now, the factor in site visits with engineers, architects, designers, executives, all showing up, converging at any moment to review progress or take a moment to look at new developments. And then combine that with all the paperwork, the prints, the daily activity logs, the safety sheets, the submittals, the punch lists, certifications, permits, payroll, inspections, budgets, quality control. There's a massive amount, right? So the day can get away from you very, very quickly if you're not properly organized. Now, hopefully your project managers and superintendents or foremen are utilizing the latest tech to stay on top of these things and the ever-growing amount of detail required to maintain a successful project. So let's talk about the first old workflow called blueprints. Okay, so let's talk about blueprints. Once the hallmark of the job site, paper blueprints are now just giving way to digital plans. And platforms like Procore, Bluebeam allow instant updates and centralized access. So that ensures that no worker is left with an outdated set of plans, right? And of course, future adaptation, AI will certainly be involved to make comparisons and automated notifications and possibly some changes. But currently, augmented reality is available to bridge the gap between design and field execution. It's an amazing new technology that's complementary to the BIM software. Now, augmented reality acts as a visualization layer that can then display BIM data in real-world context. So AR overlays digital BIM information onto a physical environment are created in real time, and this allows the users to view and interact with the BIM models on site using mobile devices or the AR glasses. If you've ever seen this process, it's absolutely amazing. And so the process of combining BIM and AR technology basically involves exporting the BIM models from the software like a Revit and then converting these models into an AR compatible form. Now, we're going to soon be talking more about AR technology just because it's super, super interesting. But for now, we can just say that digital technology has come a long way to replace the day of the old blueprint. Another old workflow is the daily log and progress reporting. Now, the paper logbook and the time capsule of the daily toil is being replaced by mobile apps like ALMobile, and the daily diary is just a click or tap away. Much like you see here in the video, the field personnel captures pictures and documents the day's events very, very quickly. These tools offer real-time updates and centralized storage data, of course, and they're accessible anywhere to those who have secured permissions. Now, voice to text it's already available. You just talk right into your phone or your iPad. It makes it easy to detail the day's events just by having a conversation on your phone or your tablet. And of course, this automatic activities can be gathered from the internet to connect, or sooner or later IoT devices, things like weather and the latest deliveries, which we're going to talk about in a few minutes as well. All right, so let's talk about on-site coordination and communication, the daily toolbox meeting, right? Now, these guys aren't shouting over the din of machinery or handling a morning toolbox talk, because this is cheesy stock footage. And the pressed, super clean, high-vis vest is just one giveaway. The glossy helmet is another. But generally, it's the overall demeanor of the two. And neither one of these guys looks even quite grumpy enough to actually work on a construction site. But in the real world, on-site meeting might be a bit more challenging. So tools like Slack, Microsoft Teams, Zoom are providing clear, structured communication channels, even on the noisiest job sites, right? You can still have a meeting at the truck. So I've taken a few meetings from the front seat of the truck for sure. And I've used a Zoom to share site events to a client who's out of town. All of this tech is helpful, and it reduces much of the email and time-consuming coordination of on-site meetings. Now, future adaptations of the on-site meeting will be things with like the wearable tech and the AR glasses that will expect seamless integration of voice commands and hands-free task updates, right? Could be even be the robots that they're trying to put out, like the dog Spot, who would go around and you would just guide the camera, take a look around with Spot, guiding you through the site. You wouldn't even have to show up. So a lot of cool technology out there that's happening today on the job site. All right, so another one of my favorite old workflows is the submittal and approval process. On a large job like this one, the submittals might fill up a 3 or 4 3-ring binders of material sheets, MSDS reports, you name it, it's going to be a lot. So submittals and approvals were once the bane of my existence, and probably the bane of existence for most project managers and superintendents, and maybe they still are if you're using a paper process, because it had to be painstakingly reviewed, kind of page by page, stamped for approval. You never knew. It was a phone call game, right, or an email game for a while. So today, platforms like Procore, they digitize this process. It enables faster reviews, better tracking of who's approved what. Now, future adaptation of this workflow will probably be AI and blockchain technology, right? So they'll likely underpin a new era of secure, transparent approvals, so it minimizes any disputes and enhances trust, right? There are currently products like Document Crunch that are diving into the contract side of the summaries and helping find details within the contracts that affect the building processes. A lot of the larger companies are probably using something like this where they're examining those contract details and, using those things. But the old workflow of paper submittals and paper approval processes, it's just going away, and you're going to go to a digital technology. Let's talk about job site quality control and punch lists. Now, I am not quite sure what the producers of this stock footage were thinking that we do on a job site, but this certainly isn't it. Again, an uber clean vest and a shiny hard hat. It's a total giveaway. But one thing's for sure, we don't have time to doodle all over our checklist. This is not what happens on a job site. So quality control workflows are another old workflow that are going to move out of the paper checklist and are now managed by tools like PlanGrid, digitally managed. These systems allow real-time updates and photo attachments to document issues that are on the job. Punch lists are accessible to all stakeholders. They've always been that way, been needed to be that way, but weren't. And so now there are no missed documents or non-documented ads after a punch walk. I've had that happen before where you've delivered a punch list and then there's 3 more punch lists after the original punch list, and it's just magically just totally frustrating. Now, future adaptations for these workflows, well, AI powered everything, right? A drone-enabled site scan will ensure quality control, evolves into a predictive, proactive process. And then we've all seen that robot dog Spot, which I mentioned before, who can scan the job site. He kind of freaks me out a little bit when he walks up the stairs, but it's that latest tech that at some point will be helping out a lot of these construction companies do those on-site inspections, make sure that quality's there, and also be able to walk and do a punch list. Okay, so documenting site changes and as-builts. Now, as-builts, let's see. This is the snow leopard of the construction world, and an accurate set of as-builts, one of the most tenuous tasks that is never quite finished. I personally have created as-builts, but I've never been handed a set from an engineer or an architect that reflected an actual build. And I'm not saying that they don't exist, but it has not been my experience. So the as-builts are kind of a funny thing. As an old workflow, I can definitely see how being digitized in a new age so that they're actually available and they're actually accurate would be great. So as-builts are field adjustments that were basically scribbled onto blueprints, and with some luck, They get filtered into the to-do list of the architect or the engineer at closeout, so to be added to the print so that they actually know that this was how we built the building, or we built this section of the building, because the original engineered plans or the original architecture wasn't quite going to work, and we needed to make some adjustments in the field. Now, the manual as-builts take months to compile, right? But there are digital tools now. Revisto allows instant annotation and cloud storage. So I think things like digital twins, virtual replicas of physical space will immediately send precise updates from the field to the office. I think that's a great technology. And if you haven't seen this tech, you should probably check it out. Much like augmented reality, it will probably transform the way we see a job site before we ever get there, and also the way we communicate about the upcoming impediments, right? It will recognize them, hopefully, in that pre-construction process to kind of eliminate a lot of that downtime on the construction part of the whole job. Now let's talk a little bit about procurement and material tracking. Now, if your boneyard looks anything like this, you may want to start investing in some tech to get you organized. Because I know somewhere in that backlog is a pallet of handmade Mexican tile that is now 12 weeks out instead of 4 weeks out, that the paper process assured you, and the tile rep failed to call you because they've been on 2 weeks of vacation. Now, that's a personal story. Yes, that has happened to me. But it's going to happen if you're on a paper process, that something like this is going to be an impediment to you. So there are platforms like Remarkable that now integrate these processes. They offer real-time inventory management and more. Digital tech is the fastest way to communicate. It's just these very important logistical details cannot be overlooked. So now it may be hard to swallow the cost of some of these, but I can promise you, if it cures one major mishap in logistics, it will pay for itself. So future adaptations, let's see. You're going to expect IoT-enabled tracking systems that monitor basically every piece of material from supplier to site in real time. And that IoT device will probably be available on site, so we'll know where it's at on site and where it needs to go on site. So either a person or one of those spot robots, right, can be scanning it and delivered items and making sure it's all fully automated. How about payroll? The paper time card, that's an old workflow. Of course, that is all changing. ALMobile, of course, is changing a lot of that. But paper time cards were once the gold standard, right, of time tracking. You had your paper time card. Maybe you had a punch clock. I tell you what, a punch clock never made me want to punch someone every time I had to punch it. Nothing more irritating than a punch clock to me. It's such a personal thing. But building systems like a digital system like an ALMobile that will eliminate that guesswork, right? Integrates hours directly with payroll and systems. These systems provide avenues for individuals or foremen to enter their time for the day, separated out into job costs right from the field daily. All right, no more waiting to the end of the week to scratch it all in. That weekly collection of random papers and deciphering the chicken scratch, coffee-stained, half-hearted efforts just aren't going to work anymore. The day of the paper time card has got to go. It's got to be gone. I think there are still 40% of some construction companies, of these construction companies out there, are still using paper. Now, ultimately, a digital process will save a ton of time. The process is slightly different, but it's worth it. And some say it'll save 70% of the time spent on payroll, and that's a lot. Now, there are technologies already out there that will help with this process as well. There's biometric authentication, geofencing to ensure the teams are in the right place at the right time when they're clocking in, and helps to avoid things like buddy punching or ghost employees from showing up in your payroll. Now, did you know that the average check, if you got it wrong, the reprint for payroll was estimated at $931 per wrong check? That's a lot of dollars for one check. So when you have a digital system that can help scrub that data and get it clean and make it look right, those types of errors go away, and those dollars go back into your pocket. Okay, so now let's talk about a very, very important topic, which is safety and compliance. right? Now, safety and compliance was once a mountain of paperwork, and digital platforms can now automate much of this work. Now, who needs to know about safety and compliance? You may think it's just the safety guy, and that's just not true. Management and leadership need to know. CEOs and executives need to be aware of the overall safety performance and compliance status to make informed decisions about the company's policies and resource allocation. Project managers need it because they need to oversee the project specific safety requirements, and they need to access relevant documents for each site that they manage. All right. Another area where digital technology needs to be utilized so multiple people have access. The construction safety officer needs to have it because his central role is to manage safety compliance. And so they're responsible for maintaining, implementing, and updating those safety documents. Safety inspectors need it as well. They conduct regular site inspections, and they need to have access to all the safety protocols and checklists. And then, of course, site supervisors. They need to be familiar with all the safety documents, and they need to enforce the compliance among workers at the job site. Got to keep your folks safe. It has been shown between 25 and 40% of companies that have adopted, companies that have adopted a digital platform for safety have improved safety somewhere between 25 and 40%, some more. That's just an industry average. So that is only a good thing to improve your safety on your job site. Probably one of the most important topics we can talk about is keeping folks safe. Bidding and estimation, it is an old workflow, right? A lot of old pencil and paper time. So data, and more succinctly historical data, is what we're talking about here. The data that you collect today will benefit the estimating and bidding process in the future. So take a listen to that. All right. So what does that mean? Well, the ability to analyze your historical data will be the defining factor of your future construction. Large companies are already utilizing these digital tools, and you'll hear me talk about it a lot. In this podcast, you'll hear me talk about it on LinkedIn. You'll hear me talk about it a lot. Your historical data is the most important thing. Accurate historical data is extremely important for your company to have in the coming years. Now, the smaller to medium-sized businesses are also going to need this same type of technology with the new trends in the market. AI analytics will revolutionize the bidding and estimating processes. Much like the GPS on your phone did. Years ago, you would just do it by memory, and you knew exactly where you're going, north, south, east, west, you just went. Now, we have new technology, we rely on it, and construction will too. So how many times have you Googled directions and then thought that you were going to beat the estimated time of arrival, right? The math works, right? It doesn't lie, but it does need the most accurate data to accurately predict the outcomes. If you ran into a traffic jam during that process, well, it's definitely going to slow you down, and it has to sit there and refigure what that is. So, bidding and estimating, as much as it was, a pencil and calculator process, is no longer that. We got a lot of technology out there, BIM technology, that helps you estimate. Revit, a lot of the architectural products out there, they help you with the estimation, they help you with the bidding process. The data that you collect from the field then goes back to them, utilizing that historical data against the new data, then being able to compare the two, knowing what your best data-driven decision is. It's vital information. Construction industry is going through an evolution. And as old workflows fade, the new ones take shape. And technology promises not only to help business build structures, but also streamline the very processes that create them, right? And to do that, we've got to adopt new methods to achieve the same old results. But now that data can be used to develop new outcomes, like predictive safety measures, accurate budgets and payroll processes, efficient materials ordering processes and logistics, high client satisfaction with both product and delivery. So ultimately, in the construction world, we must adapt. And of course, the wheels are in motion, But if you need any help getting on board with your digital processes and getting rid of some of those old workflows, I'm here to help. So thank you for watching this episode of Contact Exec, and feel free to browse through and watch some of the other episodes we've got. I share them with a friend or colleague if you feel inclined. And please know that you can always reach out to me personally at r.zimmerman@austinlane.com. If you have any questions or just like to, please just drop me a note in the comments. I'm here to answer your questions, and I just like having a good conversation. Thanks again. We'll see you next time on the Contact Exec.